your fights. And so we're live now.
Ask me anything you want, Matt.
Lovely, Joe. Thank you for coming on, mate. We're live now.
Thank you.
We're waiting for a few people to come on, and then I've got a few things to talk about, and the subscribers have got a few questions as well. So hi to everyone in the chat. What I'll occasionally do, Joe, is I'll look over to the chat and I'll see what questions are going to be asked. So I've got Fred in the bun. Hi, Matt. Hope you're well. Dean F. Hi, Matt and Joe.
Hello, Dean. Hello, Fred.
Lee's put Big Joe is one man I'd love to meet.
Hello, Lee. How are you, pal?
He's put one man you want behind you, not in front of you. Cheers, Lee. So it's building up now, Joe. Good to see you again, mate.
You too, Matt. You're looking well. You always look good.
Thank you, mate.
You keep yourself in good shape, Matt.
I think I drink so much water and try and eat all the good food. I think it makes a difference.
That's why you look ever so well.
Thank you, mate.
I like my glass of milk, Matt. I love my milk. In Gaelic,
water.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love my water. I drink loads of water. Do you drink a lot of water?
I drink the water as well, but I've had a choice to be a glass of milk. But I do drink water. I like cordial. I don't drink alcohol.
No, you've never drunk, have you?
No, I don't. Well, I had a Guinness with my dad when I was 16, and I decided with my friends at 14, and I didn't like either. And people, when they hear I don't drink, they say, "What sort of an Irish man are you that you don't drink?" And my dad, God rest him, used to say, "He's a failure as an Irishman. It's expected of the paddies to drink." You know, and I've been all over the world. I've worked all over the world as a bodyguard. I've fought all over the world when I was boxing. You know, and people are shocked.
Yeah,
You're Irish and you don't drink, because we are renowned as a drinking nation.
Have you never been tempted to do it?
Like I said, I tried them when I was young, and I didn't like the taste of either. And I prefer having a glass of milk, and I like to keep my wits about me anyway, because I don't want to miss anything when I'm out having a bit of fun. And you know, the thing is, you know, you're doing shows, and also, Matt, I don't want to ever let myself down. And I see, when I've worked the doors, I've seen people that are normally so well behaved, and when they get one too many of the alcohols, the beverages into them, they let themselves down. The next day, oh, what have I done? And I don't want to be one of them people, embarrassing myself. And I like I say, I like to do myself proud, to do my family proud, to do boxing proud, to do my country proud. You know, and
well, you definitely have done everyone proud, mate.
I try.
You have. You've had I'm talking of your boxing, some amazing achievements. 7 times Irish champion as an amateur. Well,
it was because I didn't think I was good enough to win one Irish title, man. All I've been renowned as being a tough guy. But I think anybody that climbs into the ring, whether male or female, is naturally a tough person, you know, because you don't play boxing. You play golf, you play tennis, you play basketball, you play football. You don't play boxing, you know. So to get in any competitive sport, combat sport, you know, you've got to have courage, and you're born with courage. You can't be given courage. You can be taught skills and given skills, but you cannot be given courage. And any man or woman that climbs into the ring to fight is born with that courage. And that's one thing I've always had, is an abundance of courage. I never had much skills, man. I got bullied as a child when I came to England, when my dad worked on the building sites in England, like a lot of the Irish. Ireland's greatest export has always been its people. I came to England to visit my dad, and I got bullied in England because I had the Irish accent. When I picked up the English accent to mix in with the crowd over here, I got bullied in Ireland when I went home, you know, because I had the English accent. All my years boxing, man, I only ever had one tooth knocked out. I got 2 teeth knocked out on the day I made my Holy Communion in Manchester, you know. And Dad, who was away working for a lot of my childhood years, he was in America and in England working. I've got 4 younger sisters and 2 younger brothers. I was the eldest of 7. I had to sort of try and protect them as best I could. So when the bullies had finished beating on me, rather than hit my brothers and sisters, I used to jump in and say, "Don't hit them, please hit me more." And I try and cover up as best I could. And like all bullies, there's a gang of them, there's a pack of them, you know. So I would be getting kicked and punched from all angles. In the boxing ring, Matt, there's only one man hitting you. Even if it is Mike Tyson or Lennox Lewis, or in your case, Anthony Joshua and James Toney.
Yeah.
You know, you fought world champions. I fought world champions. We both had similar careers, Matt. We got to share the ring with some of the greatest of our eras. And it is a privilege to share the rings with these guys, because every fighter that climbs into the ring, as you know, Matt, dreams of becoming a champion of the world.
Yeah.
You had a lot of ability. I saw you in prize fights. I've seen you fight. On your day, Matt, you were a capable opponent for any man, right? And I always say, I'm glad you're on my side, Matt.
Thank you, mate. Mate, I think the same with you, Joe.
The thing is, I had to grow up tough, Matt, because of the bully boys, and to try and protect my younger brothers and sisters. So in the boxing ring, there was only one man hitting me. Had a break in between rounds. He had the best of medical care at ringside.
Gloves on as well.
Sorry?
Gloves on as well.
Yeah, gloves on. You know, in the boxing ring.
It's a safer environment.
It is a safe environment compared to what I've had to endure in my life. Yeah. You know, and you know, Matt, you've been through the mill as well. You've had some testing times. I know. Yeah. Because I did your film, New City Fighter. So I know your story and my friend. So you've had to endure we similar paths in life, Matt. You know,
yeah, we have.
Boxing. They use this terminology that boxers come from the guts. I don't like that terminology. Boxers come from humble beginnings, Matt. You know, and they try to fight to make a better life for themselves. You know, you look at 3 of the sports in the world where athletes come from very humble beginnings: soccer, basketball, and boxing more than any of the other 2. You go to anywhere in the world, they might not be bouncing a basketball, they might not be kicking a soccer ball, but to be a kid punching a bag. Yeah. It's the most cosmopolitan sport in the world. To me and to you, I'm sure, it's the greatest sport in the world.
Yeah.
You know, it's the makings of a person, because if you can climb into that ring and face the likes of James Toney and Anthony Joshua, or Mike Tyson and Lennox Lewis in my case, there's nothing in life going to faze you.
Yeah.
You can go in.
It builds your confidence up to a different level.
Does it what? I tell people when I do talks, and I'm sure you do as well, I would encourage any young man or young woman now to go down to the boxing gym. The camaraderie, the friendship that you make will stand the test of time. I won my way to one Irish final, and I boxed a guy called Cathal Ryan. He was the head doorman in the nightclub where I worked, Matt. And he won his way to the Irish final. I won my way to the Irish final. We were great friends. We battered each other in that final. I mean, we battered each other. We went to work that night, busted eyes, busted lips. Yeah. People were coming into the nightclub going, must have been a bad fight tonight. We were after boxing each other, you know. And still to this day, we're great friends. I'm Steve Collins. I boxed Steve when I was a kid.
Yeah. 3 times. Was it 3 times,
no,
Steve?
Twice I fought Steve. I boxed him when I was 11 and he was 12 and a half. And he battered me, because that year and a half makes such a big difference when you're 11. And then I boxed him when I was, I think, 15 or 16, and he was a year and a half older than me still then. Like, he's still a year and a half older than me now. But when you get a little bit older, that year and a half doesn't make as much difference. But when you're 11, that year and a half. Yeah. Anyway, we're still friends to this day, and I get to do the odd show with Steve. He's great fun, you know, and an incredible fighter, 2-time champion of the world, the Celtic Warrior. But he is a great ambassador for the sport as well, because boxing doesn't just need great fighters; it needs great ambassadors. And Steve is a great ambassador for boxing, a great ambassador for Ireland. He's so he's funny, he's articulate. Yeah. You know, if you look at the fights that he was in, he fought Mike McCallum for his first world title, lost on a close points decision, the body snatcher. And then Mike was after boxing. In the last 15-round fight at Madison Square Gardens, he fought an Irishman called Sean Mannion. It wasn't the last 15-round fight of all time, but it was the last 15-round fight at Madison Square Gardens. And after 15 rounds of war with Sean Mannion, he said, I'm never going to fight another Irishman. When Mike McCallum fought Steve Collins in another, at this time, 12-round war, he said, I'm definitely never fighting another Irishman. And Steve then lost on points to McCallum for the world title. Lost on points to Reggie Johnson for the world title, and then lost to Sumbu Kanambe 12 rounds again for the European title. So by the time Steve had come out of America and based himself in the UK to fight with Nigel Benn and Chris Eubanks, he'd already been a seasoned fighter, training in the Marvin Hagler camp with the Petronellis, and he had done his apprenticeship the hard way in the gyms in America, right? So by the time, like I said, he boxed Chris.
He had a great chin, didn't he? Great chin.
He won the world title at middleweight against Chris Pyatt. So by the time he fought Chris and Nigel, he was already a middleweight champion of the world. Granite chin.
He wasn't the biggest puncher, was he? But he was a work.
I don't know about the biggest puncher because he hit me some good shots and he hurt me. You know, so I listen. People that tell you the punches don't hurt, I tell you lies, Matt. They all hurt. Some hurt more than others. Some hurt more than others. You know.
Talking about that, Joe,
the knockout punch, right? You don't feel a thing, Matt.
No,
right? You don't feel a thing. It's the strangest feeling in the world. My dad used to call me for my runs, Matt, right? And he used to say, "Drag yourself out of bed, son." He said, "It's like dragging yourself off the deck when you get decked." I said, "Dad, no one's going to deck me. No one's going to put me down." 1987, I was boxing in the Acropolis Games, and semi-finals, I'm fighting a Greek. My left eye had been badly damaged. And in the second round, he caught. I didn't see the punch coming, Matt. And I'm not making any excuses. I'm on the deck, right? Yeah. But I was unconscious, Matt. By the time I hit the deck, from the time he decked me, to the time I fell, to the time I hit the deck, I was doing this, right? My cornermen, Mickey Hawkins and Jerry Hanna, they thought I was calling them into the ring. I wasn't. I was looking for the bed sheets. I was in bed asleep, Matt, right? I'm looking for my bed sheets. Anyway, I rolled over onto my left-hand side. My eye was closed. My right eye opened, and I saw the referee go 5. And I thought, I'm on the deck here. Now, from the time he hit me, to the time I fell, to the time I'm doing this, to the time I rolled over, at least 15 seconds, man, I was asleep.
Yeah.
Right? Never felt that punch. Never felt that punch.
You don't feel the headshots?
No, never felt it. I dragged myself to my feet. At that stage, my 2 cornermen were in the ring because they thought I was calling them into the ring. And I sort of fell into their arms. I got beat on my feet.
Yeah.
But I lost to the eventual gold medalist. I got a bronze medal. But I remember phoning my dad. I said, "Dad, I won a bronze medal." He said, "Well done, son." I said, "Remember you said about getting decked is like dragging yourself out of bed, dragging yourself out of bed." "You got decked, son." I said, "I'm all right, Dad." I said, "My left eye's closed." I said, "But I'm okay." I said, "I got beat on my feet." He said, "Well done, son." I said, "But it was exactly like what you said."
Yeah.
Dragging yourself out of bed, dragging yourself out of bed. And when you see the likes of Tyson Fury dragging himself up when Deontay Wilder decked him in the last round or the second last round, and to 12. Go on to the attack, because you know when you get decked and you're concussed, your cornermen are saying, "Hold on." Now, I've been concussed many times and I've held on. Right? Sometimes you wouldn't get me off my opponent with a crowbar. I'd be holding on that side. Right? The thing is, you don't go onto the attack.
No.
You try and survive.
Tyson Fury won the rest of the round.
Went on the attack. How we done it is
he put his hands behind his back as well, didn't he? And put his chin out.
I don't know. If you look at the body language of Wilder, he was dancing, doing his shoulders.
Yeah.
Next of all, he sees, because he knows that man had knocked out so many men. And he knows when he connected with that punch, that was on the button.
Yeah.
Fury hit the deck. He was asleep. When he hit the deck, he woke up and he got up and then went on the attack. But Wilder, when you see the shock in Wilder's face, how's he getting up? You know,
you can't beat. He's such a good fighter, Fury. How would you put Fury? As a lot of people say, he's an all-time great. But how would you rate him against the Lennox Lewises and the Mike Tysons?
He's up there with the best of them, because I tell you the reason why. He's in an era where he's head and shoulders above the opposition, right? Now I know Usyk is being talked about, and I rate Usyk, right? But Usyk was exposed by a battle-worn Chisora.
Yeah,
he was exposed by a battle-worn Bellew, right? Two great fighters that had been in wars. Now both fights he was put on the back foot. If you look at his face after the Chisora fight, right? Usyk can dictate southpaw, dance around, move around. One of the most skillful fighters of his era. You put him on the back foot, he doesn't like being on the back foot.
Yeah.
Anthony Joshua got in and tried to box with the better boxer. It didn't work. After 6 rounds, he should have seen it's not working. If Anthony Joshua had taken a leaf out of Chisora's book, a younger Derek Chisora, a younger, fresher Derek Chisora, it might have been a different fight. Derek Chisora had I think 9 losses in his career at that stage. He'd been in so many hard, great fights, right? 12 rounds with Klitschko. That took its toll on the man. How he keeps coming back to Zora is beyond me, right? Bellew, an incredible fighter as well, right? 2 great fighters. Might not have been the best boxers in the world, but they were both great fighters.
Yeah.
And they exposed Usyk that he cannot fight. He can box, dictate, southpaw, beautiful mover, combinations. Anthony Joshua boxed for me the wrong fight. He tried to box with the better boxer.
He should have gone back to his old aggressive style.
Yes. Tyson Fury needed a 12-week camp, right? He would have done a 6-week camp for a lesser fighter, right? He needed a 12-week camp. And when this trainer came over from America, Sugar Hill, he said, listen, 6 weeks isn't you've got to give Usyk the respect and go into a 12-week training camp, right? For that type of level of a fight. But I believe on his day, Tyson Fury, after a 12-week training camp, would smash Usyk to bits.
So do you think Fury would hold up to Lewis and Mike Tyson?
Yes. I do believe so. I really do believe so.
I do.
Listen, Lennox Lewis lost twice. Hasim Rahman and Oliver McCall. Both times he was doing an Nelson Mandela publicity tour and an Ocean's 11 film. And both times he failed to prepare. There's an old saying, fail to prepare, be prepared to fail. When he got himself fit, he came back and he stopped both of them in rematches.
Yeah.
Mike Tyson lost to Buster Douglas, right? No disrespect to Buster Douglas, but he wasn't in Mike's league. But Mike hadn't prepared properly. Mike lost to Danny Williams. No disrespect to Danny. He lost to Kevin McBride. But all them times he was a shell of a man, right? And I think that Tyson Fury, on his day, Mike Tyson, I'm not saying who would win, but Tyson Fury would be well capable of holding his own in the ring in any era of heavyweight boxing.
I'll tell you what I think about Mike Tyson Fury. Mike Tyson struggled with good movers.
He struggled with
torment. And if you think
he struggled with torment and boxers.
Yeah. Fury's got such a good chin. If he can take Wilder's punches and get up, chances are...
Men that went in there to survive against Mike, that could box.
Yeah.
Survive. You stood in front of Mike and fought, you were coming second.
Tony Tucker did a good game plan.
Tony Tucker boxed Mike with a damaged right hand, and it was a little bit sad to see an IBF champion of the world, unbeaten, being told to get in and fight when he was wounded against the man like Mike Tyson, because you need to have all your faculties, all your tools sharpened, and his right hand was badly damaged from a
He put up a good performance, though.
Put up a great performance.
Joe, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions from the subscribers, if that's right, mate.
Of course.
I've just seen my brother Andrew's on here, and Andrew's there.
Hello, Andrew.
He said, all right, bruv. Hi, Joe. Can you ask Joe how he got his infamous nickname, the toughest white man on the planet, and was his toughest sparring session with Iron Mike, or did you spar anyone tougher?
I had sparred with Mike many times, and there were black sparring partners and white sparring partners. This particular day, there was 4 white sparring partners, and he knocked 3 of the white sparring partners out. I was number 4. I got battered from pillar to post. Never put me down. At the end of the spar, Mike Tyson said, Joe Egan is the toughest white man on the planet. Far from it. I was the toughest white man in the gym that day. But what a compliment from a man like Mike Tyson. But like I say, if you're going to get battered, Matt, you might as well get battered by the best. I got battered by the best of my era. Mike Tyson battered me and Lennox Lewis battered me. But it was an honour to share the ring with them.
Did it take a lot of courage to get in them spars, knowing what you were facing?
I was terrified, Matt. I was terrified.
Because you knew what was coming.
Listen, of course I knew what was coming. I seen them knocking men out, better men than me, but they threw caution to the wind. They were braver than me. I covered up as best I could and held on and tried my best to survive, because the longer I lasted with Mike, the more money I earned. The more money I earned helped shape my brothers and sisters' lives. A sister went through university and became a chartered accountant. Another sister came over to America. She married a New York policeman. My other brother, he started a milk round. And I help like the Irish do all the time. They send the money home, help families. We emigrate, and Ireland's greatest export has always been its people. But getting back to Andrew's other question, Mike hurt me many times. But I sparred a fighter called Victor Cordova, who was the world super middleweight champion. And he used to walk around about 14.5 stone. I was only just over 15 at the time, 15 stone. And I was sparring this particular day, and he hit me an uppercut. And it caught the bone of my nose. and the blood went everywhere. Both my eyes closed, and it was the most painful punch that had been hit. Only one punch. It hurt me. I stood back. Oh, Matt, the pain shot down through my body. So people ask me, who hurt you the most? Mike Tyson, Lennox Lewis, they both hurt me. But Victor Cordova hurt me with one punch that I remember. That punch is always stuck in my mind. And that was in 1990 in Mr. Eastwood's gym in Belfast on Castle Street. And like I said, there must have been at least half a pint of blood just flowing out of me. And they say that you can drive the bone of the nose into the brain. You know, I think the bone might have got drove in, but there was no brain in there for it to get driven into.
I'll get another question, Joe. We've got my friend SJ. How you doing, SJ?
Hello, SJ.
You did the film with SJ. She was on the film set that day.
Which film?
New City Fighter. So SJ was there.
Okay. Hello.
There's no question there, but some Eric's people don't realise how nerve-wracking it can be fighting in the ring and how much fitness it takes. That's Eric.
It is a very daunting sport. You know, that walk to the ring, as me and Matt spoke earlier on, that walk to the ring is terrifying. I remember my weigh-in for my first professional fight, man. This was the weigh-in. I'm looking around the gym. There's 5 or 6 big guys with tattoos and muscles and moustaches, and oh God, they look like macho men, you know. And I thought, oh God, I hope I'm not fighting him. So I went in to see the doctor, and my heart was racing. And the doctor said to me, "Are you nervous, Joe?" Stevie Wonder could see I was nervous, man. I was terrified. This was just a weigh-in. I said, I am, doctor. I'm very nervous. He said, "Joe," he said, "I've just examined your opponent, and he's twice as nervous." I was so happy. I was so happy to hear that. But when I made my comeback, man, you know, I'd come out of prison, and I was broke, and all I knew how to do was box. I was nearly 38, and I hadn't fought for 12 years, so I thought I'd have another go, and had a go anyway. And I remember sitting in the dressing room the night of the fight. Darren Corbett, the Commonwealth champion, came in. He said, "Joe, the guy you're fighting in the next room screaming at you. Put the fear of God into him." I was sitting and I was getting my hands bandaged and I was so scared, but Darren made me laugh. Anyway, they said, "Right, check your bandages, check my bandages, stamp my hands." I said, "Glove up." And I'd forgotten, Matt, what that fear was like. 12 years out of the ring. Yeah. The fear kicked in. I had to walk from the dressing room to the ring. Now, it was a venue that I'd boxed in many times. And I walked to the ring. I walked past the steps. And I walked to the exit door. And 2 old geezers knocked me. They went, "Joe." I went, "What?" They said, "You've missed the steps. I was walking out of that building, man. I'd have been at my mum's front door. She only lived about 15 minutes away. With my boxing gloves on, knocking on the door, "Let me in." I didn't want to be there, man. So I went, I have to turn around and walk back to the ring. Anyway, I got into the ring. And for the first 2 rounds, I wasn't in it. I was getting peppered with punches. And I've gone back to my corner at the end of the round, second round, and my trainer gave me a slap. He said, "Wake up." He said, "For God's sake, come on. What are you doing?" Anyway, I got into the fight. I ended up winning the 5th round. I pushed my opponent into the corner, dislocated his shoulder, and the fight was stopped. It wasn't the best way to win, but I won. But I had headlines in the newspaper. It said, "George Foreman made the comeback after 10 years. Big Joe Egan made the comeback after 12 years. To get mentioned in the same paragraph. George Foreman. Oh, one of the greatest heavyweights of all time. But he's on a video called Champions Forever.
I love that. I love that video.
Joe Frazier, great video. Joe Frazier, Larry Holmes, Ken Norton, and Muhammad Ali. And George, 5 of the greatest champions of all time. And they said to George about being scared. He said, "I was boxing Ken Norton." He said, "I looked across the ring. He said, I saw Ken, the finest specimen of a man," he said, "you could imagine. He's chiseled." He said, "I walked to the center of the ring. Ken walked to the center of the ring." He said, "We eyeballed each other in the center of the ring." He said, "I was so glad Ken didn't look down because my knees were shaking."
Yes, I remember
and
that.
I thought if George Foreman can be scared.
Well, do you know who do you know who helped me combat my nerves? Was Mike Tyson. Because when I found out that Mike Tyson got nervous,
Mike used to cry in the dressing room, terrified.
So that made me think it's okay to have a bit of nerves because it makes you sharper.
Listen, it definitely prepares you for hard training. Because if you get complacent thinking it's going to be a walk in the park and you don't have that fear factor, you're not going to be fit enough. So you need to be a little bit scared in the preparation, but it's in work, because you train that little bit harder. It gives you that extra incentive. You don't want to get complacent. Even if you're fighting a journeyman that's been there, been brought along to help you in your early stages of your career, you've still got to show the man the respect. You've got to prepare properly, and you've got to get in, and you can't take anybody for granted.
No.
One
Journeymen can be just as dangerous if you underestimate them.
One unlucky punch, catch you on the bone of your eye, could open up a wound and be out of action. Could maybe finish your career if you get a bad cut. So you've got to. I'm not saying be terrified, but fear is
your friend.
In boxing, your friend, And the two spellings of the word fear, Matt. The coward spells it forget everything and run. The fighter spells it face everything and rise.
Yeah.
That's what we are. We're fighters. And you climb into that ring to do battle, whether it be a ring or a cage or a mat, excuse the pun, Matt, but get on the fight, it's we've earned our respect, right? And we've got our respect for our opponent, because that's what boxing does for you. It gives you self-respect and respect for your opponent, And any of these combat sports, whether it be the cage or the ring or the mat, you've got to respect the people that do it.
I respect anyone that gets in there, especially the kids.
The kids, especially. Sport. Listen, it's the makings of a person, and I'd encourage any young person to get in and do it, and gives them the confidence, because if you can get in there and fight, nothing.
I was going to ask you, Joe. I'm going to just do some more questions, but when we come back, I wanted you to tell the story about when Mike Tyson came over to England to visit your mum, and there's a lovely story about a gift, but I'll let you tell the story in a minute.
Right.
I'll just do a couple of questions first, and we'll get on to that one. Sean, how you doing, mate? That's my mate, Sean.
Hello, Sean.
School of Crime. Mac Mole, evening, Matt.
Hello,
Lee,
Matt.
we've done Lee. Lee Burkett, all right, Joe. Lindsay Miller, evening, guys.
Hello, Lindsay.
Paul B, evening, Matt and Joe.
Hello, Paul.
Bill, evening, boys.
Hey, Bill.
Mark Richardson, real gentleman is Big Joe. Met him a couple of times.
Hello, Mark. How you doing? Thank you for the compliment.
Eric, all right, Matt. Big hello from Bolton. Say hello to Big Boy from me. That's Eric. Coco, hi. There's my mate Ted Duggan as well. How you doing, Ted? Ted's over in Ireland as well.
Hello, Ted. How are you?
He just wants to say Big Joe is my ultimate legend. What a great fighting man. Brand new. Obviously, Matt, you're my second. So that's Ted. He's a lovely bloke, Ted. Really good supporter of my channel as well.
Fair play. Well, why wouldn't I support you, Matt? You're a good guy. I'm not saying you're my friend. You're a good guy, man.
We've nearly 20 years. Thank you, Joe. Nearly 20 years we've been friends now.
Yeah. Looking forward to the next meeting.
Yeah. So, could you tell us a story when Mike Tyson came over?
Mike.
This brings a tear to my eye, this story.
Well, I'll tell you what happened with I was doing a dinner with Joe Frazier, because I'd sparred Mike for the Marvis Frazier fight. And Marvis was in attendance. It was in the Hilton in London. And there was a man called Cass Pennant, who was a book publisher, Pennant Publications. And I knew who Cass was because he'd been the West Ham fan, and my nephew Tom was a West Ham fan. So, half joking, I said to Cass on the night, you might write a book about me. He said, well, look, if you can get Mike Tyson involved in the book, he said, we'll do something. Anyway, I phoned Mike. Mike was in Brazil at the time, and put him on the cast. He said, anything I can do for my brother Joe. He did the foreword for the book, and he came to the UK, and he launched the book. And it brought Canary Wharf to a standstill. Thousands and thousands and thousands of people in attendance to buy the book. Several world champions in attendance. I know everybody was there for Mike Tyson, but Mike Tyson was there for me. Anyway, he'd been speaking to my mum on and off for 22 years, Matt. They'd never met. And this particular day, when he was in the UK, me, Mike, and Scott Welch, he said, how's your mother doing, Joe? I said, she's not so good, Mike. She had a lump removed from her neck, and my mum was a smoker. And we were concerned about it being cancer. I lost my mother last year. I lost my father and my mother last year. My dad went on the 24th of April, his 85th birthday. My mum went on the 28th of December. So last year was a bad year. God rest them both. My dad made 85, my mother made 80. But he said, Joe, he said, I was concerned about this lump on her neck. And my uncle Brian had died at 47 from cancer. I said, we're a bit worried, Mike. He said, well, let's go and see our mother, Joe. So me, Scott, Mike, we jumped onto a plane and we landed in Dublin. Now, it was his first visit to Ireland. It was Dublin Airport, where I'd worked for Delta Airlines. I'd worked for Delta Airlines at Dublin Airport. I'd never seen anything like it in my life. The crowds, thousands and thousands and thousands, outside the arrivals. It just packed. Hysteria, newspapers, TV, everybody. So Mike is now in Dublin, and we've decided, that it's going to be too much for my mum while she's recovering, for Mike to land with all this crowds and crowds and crowds of people. So we let the dust settle for a day, 2 days. And Mike decided he's got to see my mum. He's got to see my mum. That's what we're in Dublin for. But she was recovering, Matt. But she's been released from hospital because there was the MRSA bug in the hospital. So on the day that she was released to the care of her sister Linda. Mike said, "Look, Joe, man, we got to go and see her mum. That's what we're here for." I said, "Mike, she's a very fragile woman. And she's not in hospital now. They've released her with the MRSA." He said, "Look, Joe, that's what we're here for, man. We've got to see her mother." He said, "It's so important." So we've now gone on to a housing estate where my auntie Linda was living, on a housing estate where my family had actually been evicted. So I'm now gone on to a housing estate with one of the greatest heavyweights of all time that my family had been evicted because me and my younger brother used to cut sticks. We used to chop sticks from bags of logs, and the council said we were running a business and they put the rent up, and we were only 13 and 14-year-old boys, but that's another story, man. But now we're on a housing estate, and we've got to the house where my mum was in her sister's, my auntie Linda's, and they embraced after been speaking on the phone for 22 years. Mm. And this man, I know, can break bones with punches, is now holding a fragile woman in his arms. It's beautiful to see. Anyway, Scott Welch, me and Mike, and the subjects, the birthdays came up. My mum's birthday was the 12th of July, Mike's is the 30th of June. They're both of the same birth sign, Cancer. And Mike said, "Mrs. Egan," he said, "I remember on my 18th birthday, me and Mike were together when we were 17. So his first birthday that we were together. He said, you sent over a shoebox with some potato chips, Irish potato crisps. He said, some money in an envelope. Would have been very little money, man. And some sweatshirts. There would have been second-hand sweatshirts. This was 22 years previous. And my mum said to Mike, you remember that, Mike? He said, Mrs. Egan, he said, very few people have given me anything in my life. Oh. Yes, I remember that. Now, at that stage, Scott Welch got choked up. He had to leave the room. I broke down crying, man. Now, Mike had made me cry so many times when he battered me. Mike looked at me. I don't like. He looked at me. He goes, Joe, motherfucker, you're always crying. He made me cry. But he embraced my mother. He embraced me, and I just thought to myself, this is a man that could have been a billionaire athlete. Remembering 22 years previous, Matt, a couple of packets of crisps, a couple of sweatshirts, and a few pounds in an envelope. Matt, could you remember what you got 22 years ago for a birthday present? No. I know I can't.
But he never forgets his beginnings, does he? And his roots.
He had a friendship with my mother over the phone for 22 years. He used to speak to him. Oh, Mike, thank you so much for looking after my son. He was battering me week in, week out. But she didn't know that. As far as he was concerned, he was caring for me in the catch, which he did outside of the ring. When he wasn't battering you, he was a lovely man.
Yeah.
You know, like all fighters. Once they're not battering you outside of the ropes, we're nice people. You know? Listen, it is true. It's true. We are nice people. People see the fight and they think we're vicious, ferocious fighters, which we are in the combat of the fight. But outside of the ropes, sometimes in the build-up to the fight, you've got to eyeball each other. You've got to be aggressive in the build-up to sell the fight. But once the fight's over and we embrace and shake hands and, you know, look at the best trilogy. One of the best trilogies, Arturo Gatti and Mickey Ward.
Yeah.
They battered each other in fights, but they were drinking buddies. You know, Eric Morales and Marco Antonio Barrera. They're great friends.
Yeah.
But they're trilogies.
Riddick, Bo Holyfield.
Well, Riddick, I used to see in Gleason's gym. I used to see Riddick in Gleason's gym, and I was in New York. And Riddick wasn't personally. I didn't think one of the greatest fighters. Never got to fulfill his true potential because the man had a screw loose, right? And I just think that he was. I think he had a lot of issues. I think he had a lot of issues.
Do you remember when he attacked Larry Donald at the press conference?
He had the issues with no, it was Andrew who
Gallotta.
Yeah, Gallotta had issues, but
that was Gallotta. Gallotta was the same.
Gallotta, listen, he was the same. A little bit of a screw.
Yeah,
incredible fighter.
Incredible
fighter. But some of them, they have issues. You know, and it's a shame really because they never fulfilled the potential. Riddick Bowe was winning that fight against Holyfield. See when that glider came into the ring.
Yeah, and right? They got a rest.
They got a rest, right? But it wasn't so much the rest that was needed. Riddick Bowe couldn't get back into gear. Evander got back into gear. Riddick couldn't recuperate, couldn't get whatever because I think the issues. Evander was more. I'm trying to think the proper words. More capable of getting back into the fight. Riddick was.
He kept warm. He must have kept himself warm or whatever he did. He kept.
But I used to see Riddick in Gleason's. I never sparred with him. In Gleason's, but I used to see him. He'd walk in, 6'5", powerhouse of man, Big Daddy Bowe. He'd let everybody know he was there, and he was an Olympic silver medalist.
Yeah,
he lost to Lennox in the big final. Yeah, he lost to Lennox in 1988, and Lennox had won the bronze in '84, and then got the gold in '88. Lennox was by the time Lennox had gone pro, he was a seasoned amateur. I fought him in '85. I fought him in the New York Golden Gloves team against the Canadian All Stars. But Lennox is up there with the all-time greats as well.
But you'd have been about 19 then when you fought Lennox.
God, I was getting mixed up. Are
you a year older than Mike Tyson?
Mike is June 30th, right? I'm November 65. Mike's June 30th, 66. So I'm actually 8 months older than Mike.
Yeah.
I'm 8 months old. 8 months, 9 months. Matt, I left school when I was 14. I left school with 2 swimming certificates, 800 meter and 50 meter. I'm not very academic. I'm not good at adding up unless it's money.
Yeah.
But, right. I'm November.
Yes, you would have been in when was it? 85.
I was with him at the end of 83, 84. Some of 85, so it was there for nearly 2 years. Then Cuss took sick, and I could have stayed on in the camp because I'd been made welcome. It was like a home from home. But the thing was, when Cuss was sick, I just thought it was close family, and I came away. I went back up to the Catskills, went back up and visited Camille and Manny, and I've seen Tom and Mike. And me and Mike, like I say, we keep in touch, and we speak 2 or 3 times a year on the phone.
Yeah.
And like I said, he's visited my mother in Ireland, and visited my mother in Ireland on a few occasions.
Yeah.
But, to walk through Dublin Airport and to walk onto a housing estate, like I said, where my family had been evicted, with one of the greatest heavyweights of all time, was very. I was very proud. I used to say to people, Mike Tyson's going to come and visit my family in Ireland. He used to laugh at me. And I had a dog, Matt. I had a dog called Tyson. And people used to say to me, that's a stupid name for a dog, Joe. So please believe me, there's going to be a lot of dogs called Tyson.
Everybody had staffs and dogs called Tyson.
I knew at 17 years of age.
Yeah.
I knew he was special.
Yeah.
Cuss seen it at 14. I seen it at 17.
Eric's asked, was Mike Tyson as fast as he looks? And did his punches hurt? But you said his punches did hurt,
He was very, very fast for heavyweight. He had the body movement, the hand speed. He was a fast heavyweight, but he was a small heavyweight, so he had to utilize. And you can have power in punch. You can have power in the punch, but if you haven't got the speed to deliver the punch, it's not going to be as effective. So you need
speed is power sometimes.
Yeah,
speed
you need
is power.
that speed, And Mike had the speed and the power. and he also had the head movement.
Yeah.
When he bob and weave in, you get a jab off, you might get a right hand off, but he was moving.
Because that head movement, when you crouch low, it gets your legs into the shot. Your legs get all that power when you're low.
His thighs.
Yeah.
When he got the uppercut on, I was fortunate. I'm only 6'1", right? Some of the 6'5", 6'6" heavyweights, you get that extra 4 or 5 inches, and the momentum. I've saw him lift men off the floor, lift them off the floor with a punch.
Did you ever see anyone get the better of him? He must have had bad days where he was off.
Listen, I saw guys landing punches on him, right? There was no way he went through his sparring sessions without getting hits. And Mike had a good chin. People don't give him the credit for his chin. If you look at the fight with Lennox, Lewis, right? Now take nothing away from Lennox Lewis. Lennox beat what was in front of him, but it was a shell of Mike Tyson. And it still took Lennox several rounds to knock that man out, right? And Lennox, in the second round of that fight, had his hands down around. Lennox had his hands down around his waist, right? And he was in with the most powerful puncher of his era. But Lennox knew what was in front of him. And the Boxing Association should be ashamed of themselves because they put Mike Tyson into that ring knowing that the man was on drugs, right? They said, the Boxing Associations said that they would accept a positive urine test of Mike Tyson, right? Now, they said the drugs that he was on were calming down drugs. Whatever drugs he was on, I don't know. But you put a racehorse or a greyhound onto the racetrack and it's got calming down drugs, it's going to be lethargic, right? Now, Mike Tyson relied on speed to deliver them punches. So if you're going to be lethargic, he's at a disadvantage straight off, right? He should never have been allowed box. He showed
a lot of heart in that fight as well. He took so many uppercuts.
His chin was a good chin, right? He had the big wide neck, the stovepipe neck, so he could absorb punches. But people give him the credit for speed. People give him the credit for power of punch. But I can tell you now, I saw Frank Bruno hit him with a punch.
Left hook.
Frank Bruno was a knockout puncher, right? Frank Bruno hit Mike Tyson with a punch, and he stopped Mike Tyson in his tracks. But Mike didn't go down. So we know that Mike Tyson could take a punch.
Bruno's a super hard hitter.
Even in Mike Tyson's state and condition that he fought Lennox Lewis, he still went several rounds. And in life, Matt, all we ask for is a fighting chance. And I don't believe Mike Tyson had a fighting chance against Lennox. It was an unfair fight. Take nothing away from Lennox. He beat what was in front of him. But in my eyes, it was a shell of a man.
Now, I was sad. I was sad when I watched that because I was hoping Mike was going to win. I watched it with all my family, and I was gutted when I saw the tide was turning. We weren't going to go Mike Tyson's way.
Lennox didn't handle small men as well as Mike handled big men, but Lennox's skills were sublime. His skills were fantastic, and I would have liked to see them fight on an even playing field. Yeah,
in their prime. And
got
another question here, Joe.
Go on.
From Benny Boy.
Go on, Benny.
Hi, Joe and Matt. It's Ben and Pete, Somerset. Eddie Richardson is coming down again soon. Would you both like a lunch with us? Yeah, of course, mate. Yeah,
of course. Yeah.
Eddie Richardson, a legend. Yeah, I've met him a few times, Eddie. Have you met Eddie before?
We're looking at the size of me. I like me food, so free lunch.
We've got Kevin Hawthorne.
Eddie's a gentleman. Legendary.
Old school.
Legendary underworld figure, but a lovely man as well.
Old school, yeah. Kevin Hawthorne, good afternoon from Lakeland, Florida.
Hello, Kevin. How are you?
Joe Fury. Fury versus Lewis, who wins? It's hard to say that one, but
listen, they're both skillful heavyweights. They're both skillful heavyweights. On the day, I would say whoever wanted it the most.
Yeah.
Right. Because they would both have to dig deep. People don't give Tyson Fury credit for his power of punch. Tyson Fury's got a good few knockouts on his record. Right. We know Lennox could punch. I know he can punch. It was on the end of his right hand. Right. But the thing is, who was prepared to endure the most, because they both got skills, they both got speed and power, they both got good trainers when they were in their training camps. Lennox had Manuel Stewart, one of the greatest trainers of all time, when he was on form. Lennox had a good trainer. Tyson Fury's got Sugar Hill now, and he's a great trainer as well. So I believe if they were both in their prime, with both their trainers, prepared in a 12-week training camp with the best of sparring, it would be a 50-50 fight. And I think the one that wanted it the most on the night would be the one that would endure the other one's punches. And it would be one hell of a fight.
Yeah, it
That's
would.
a great thing. We could talk about the different eras. And I used to do it with Mike. I used to speak to Mike. Mike used to say, "Oh, Joe, if that punch had landed in that fight, it would have changed the era of that division, and we could match so and so with so and so." And to me, there's only so much boxing you can watch and talk about. To Mike, there wasn't enough. He was like an encyclopedia of boxing. He loves it more than we love it, Matt.
He's probably one of the most knowledgeable out there. He knows every era of boxing.
He had access to Jim Jacobs and Bill Caton's library, and it was the biggest footage library of boxing in the world at the time. And Mike used to sit on the exercise bike at the top of the house, cycling the bike, watching the skinny reels, and I used to fall asleep. Mike would just be engrossed, tunnel visioned, because he would watch and learn from some of the greats of the different eras.
Yeah,
and
he's a true boxing historian.
He's like a walking encyclopedia.
Yeah. Patrick Murran has said, Matt, could you tell Joe Dublin is very proud of him?
Tell him thank you very much. Thank you.
I was going to ask you, Joe, obviously going away from the boxing, you went over to become a landlord, didn't you? And you went to prison, you had a shootout in the pub as well.
Well, it wasn't so much a shootout. I got shot 26th of July 1998. I'll belt the royalty out of respect. I belt the known man out of fear, man. Same as you. We can't do it. We're proud men. And at the Protection Racketeers on the 19th of July 1998. A lot of fighters, when they retire, are at a loose end. You try and find something to do, because boxing is your career's over, So we're in sort of limbo land. I've been very fortunate. I've had the security to fall back on as a safety net. But I never thought it was going to be my be-all and end-all doing security. Yeah. I thought I was going to make my fortune out of boxing. But Paddy Finn gave me encouragement, ex-Irish heavyweight champion, to go into the pub trade and come over to Birmingham. And I did. I did my licensee certificate, the BII, British Institute of Innkeeping. I've done 2 MVQ certificates. And I managed to Dublin a pub in Birmingham for Digbeth Birmingham for 2 years. And then Paddy got me the opportunity to take on my own pub. And I did with my ex-business partner, Tommy McGill, and we took over the Lyndhurst with a boxing tournament in the function room. Bunny Johnson, the first black British heavyweight champion, attended the show, and Rob Norton, former world champion, Uni Shavers, attended, Richie Woodall. We had a lot of great champions attend, and I was very proud. And the Protection Racketeers, people think this only happens in movies. They took notice of what was going on the 19th of July 1998. They demanded £500 a week protection money. And I thought, no way, this isn't happening. But it was happening. And the following week, the 26th of July 1998, they attacked the pub with a communion on in the function room. And a lot of ex-boxers frequent the pub, tough guys. And we were very fortunate that day. There was 37 men attacked with a handgun, a shotgun, hatchets and machetes. It was a bad day. It was a bad day. Nobody died, but there was a lot of people wounded. I was badly wounded. I got shot. I got hit a couple of times with the shotgun pellets, and it was a nasty. The headlines in the newspapers, they said that the incident at the Lyndhurst made Braveheart look like a Walt Disney film, and it was very, very horrific match, But
in front of women and kids. Women and kids were there.
Women and children, I had a guy called Steve Dalton, one of the bravest men I've ever met in my life. He ran at the guns, and I hid behind a wall. I'm not ashamed to say it. I hid behind a wall. And Steve Dalton ran at the guns. I actually blessed myself, I thought, because he got hit a couple of times with the handgun, the bullets from the handgun. And when the handgun emptied after 3 shots, it jammed, thrown on the floor. Tim O'Regan, an old Irish man from Limerick, he stepped out with his hands up. He said, I know these boys, I can stop this. As he stepped out, I stepped from behind the wall to pull Tim in behind the wall. And the guy that was doing the shooting, I won't mention his name, I'm not going to glorify that scumbag. No. He was handed a shotgun and he blasted Tim O'Regan into the hips, blew the hip clean out of him. The shotgun pellets hit all around me, let rip with the second shot. And it was quite horrific. But I've looked at the many men's eyes in the boxing ring, getting ready to fight. on the doors when I was on the doors, but I've never looked into a set of eyes so evil in my life as the man that shot Steve Dalton, and the man that shot Tim O'Regan to wound me.
Yeah.
Pure evil. Now the world is full of evil. You know,
all over £500 a week protection money, was it?
All over protection money, you know, and it was a bad day. Anyway, I was let down by the police. The police had an armed response unit ready that day. They knew there was men coming with guns, and it still took the police 55 minutes to get there. I phoned for help. Had a sergeant. It was the local police sergeant who was aware. He was a good man, the way a policeman should be. People slate the police. I believe the police have to be there, man. Because look at the society. Look at the society the way it is with the police there. Imagine what it would be like if the police weren't there. We'd have anarchy, right? Yeah. And I believe that the police have to be there. I don't like seeing them in my rearview mirror. I've had my run-ins with them over the years, you know. But at the same time, I respect them. They've got to be there.
Yeah, same as me.
I won't slate them. But on that particular day, the sergeant that I'd contacted was on his way to me. He said, Joe, I'll radio the station. He said, I'll get men to disperse these gangs that are gathering. As he was on his way to me, he got sent to a Mickey Mouse alarm call. And half an hour later, there's 37 men on my car park with handguns, shotguns, hatchets and machetes. There's a 25-minute pitch battle, which is a long time in a battle, man. 5 minutes before the first policeman arrived, right? And the police station 600 yards from the pub. It was a bad day. It shouldn't have happened. I was very fortunate. I was very fortunate that I had friends in the pub for no other reason than they used to frequent the pub. Now, that particular day, if they hadn't have been there, I'd have been killed. I'd have probably took a couple of the animals with me. I wouldn't even call them animals, a couple of the scumbags with me. But what good is that, man? You know, I'd have been gone. And
I think I saw Steve Dalton at one of your show. Yeah. You invited him on the stage.
Steve Dalton was presented with an award by Mike Tyson. Mike thanked him for putting his life on the line for his brother Joe. When we went down to the training camp in London, I took men that had stood with me down to meet Mike. And Mike said, Joe, any more trouble at your pub? And I'm landing. The guys couldn't believe. They said, how does Mike know about it? I said, he's my friend. I speak to him regular, you know. Yeah. And they were in shock that Mike Tyson knew what had happened at my pub. But he takes an interest in my life. I've never gone cap in hand to Mike. When I came out of prison and I was broke, I made a comeback in the boxing. I didn't go and ask for money off anybody, man. You know, I tried to earn my own money. You know, I work hard and still working today. You know, I work for my money. The time I got into trouble, and ended up in prison, I used my savings. I sold everything I had, my car, my watch that my mum and dad got me for my 18th birthday, the ring they got me for my 21st. I sold my leather jacket. I sold everything I could to pay legal fees. Because after the battle at the Lyndhurst, I was charged with attempted murder. Never been in trouble in my life, man. Right? I was charged with attempted murder. And I had to fight to beat them charges. And I did beat the charges. Headlines in the newspaper, justice prevails. But I ran out of money, Matt. And I got coerced into letting a man park stolen cars on my car park because I was in a desperate situation. And desperate situation because what was being done to me was a crime. And I was weak at the time, man, because I was gonna go to jail for defending myself. And got into trouble. And after exposing after winning my court case, then I was set up for the stolen cars. I didn't steal any cars, man. I let them park on my car park, but at that stage I needed the money. I regret what I did. I'm ashamed of what I did. I ended up in prison. As a little boy, I watched, in every boy's eyes, his dad's the toughest man on the planet. And in my eyes, my daddy was the toughest man on the planet. And I used to watch my dad when he was home, coming in, and if my mother didn't greet him in the hall with a hug, he'd say, Anne, whatever I've done, I'm sorry. I mean, my two brothers used to go, Dad's groveling to Mum. He's the tough guy. But all I ever wanted to do was make my parents proud. And when I came home from school this particular day, I was probably 11, 12, my mother said, get up the stairs, get up to bed, go up to bed. It was only 4:30. Batman was on television at 5 o'clock. I didn't know what was going on, but I saw my dad coming in, 6 o'clock, 6:30. And my mum talking to him in the hallway. Me and my brother were sitting up on the stairs, looking down through the banisters. My other brothers and sisters were all in bed. And I saw my mum talking to my dad in the hall. And then I saw him put his head in his hands and cry. And my whole world caved in because I saw my daddy crying for the first time in my life. To me, the toughest man on the planet. And I couldn't understand why. But as it turned out, his daddy had died, my granddad.
Wow.
And I didn't understand what was going on. So I wind the clock on. I'm in court. I'm found guilty of a crime. And I'm remanded. And I look up into the gallery. And I saw my dad hold his head in his hands, crying. No matter how many times I tell this story, man, I feel sick inside because me getting sent to prison had the same effect on my dad as his daddy dying. I felt sick and ashamed, man. Even now, talking about it, he's a year dead this month.
Yeah.
I felt sick. And I watched him hold his head in his hands, and I just felt ashamed. Sorry, man.
That's all right. That's all right, Joe.
No matter
But you haven't got anything to be ashamed about. If you look at all the achievements,
no matter how many times I tell that story, Matt, I feel sick.
But we've all made mistakes. We've all made mistakes, though, Joe.
All I ever wanted to do was do him proud, Matt. You know. And
yeah, you did though. You did though. You did. We all make mistakes. I've been to prison as well. You've been to prison. We make mistakes, and it's not for the. I mean, they're minor things really that we went to prison for. And just look at all the other things you've achieved, and everyone's proud of you, Joe. Everyone I know is proud to call you a friend or family, and you know what I mean. I mean, you've.
I let myself down. I let myself down, and while I was in prison, man, I saved a man's life in prison, and that was something good that came out of my sentence. I saved a man's life in prison, and I got a commendation from the governor, and I got onto the workout scheme. I got my pro on my first attempt when I came out of prison. I made my comeback into boxing, and I'd like to think that I redeemed myself in my dad's eyes and my mum's eyes, you know. But it's a chapter of my life that I can't change. You know, hindsight's a wonderful thing, but I tried to be the best I can be. I tried to do my family proud, to do my country proud. You know, I work in the UK, live in the UK, but that time when I saw my daddy cry was only the second time in my life that I'd seen him crying.
Yeah.
It just hurts. No matter how many times I tell the story, I tried to keep my composure, but I cry so much, Matt. You know,
I do though, Joe, as well. I cried the other night watching certain films set me off, and
oh God, don't talk to me about films, Matt. The champ, remember with
yeah.
John
I get emotional. Certain music can come on, and I can get emotional.
The music in Braveheart.
Braveheart. I cried my eyes out at the end of that when I first watched that. I'm very Mike Tyson's the same. He cries on podcasts.
Oh, listen, Mike's and I'm like, well, listen, we're tough guys, but tough guys cry. You know,
yeah.
I cry probably more than others.
Yeah,
you know,
I do as well.
Niagara Joe, I'm forever bloody crying.
But I've got to say, in terms of making everyone proud, you've now become, not only have you done your boxing and that type of thing, you've now become a successful actor. So in terms of achieving all these sort of dreams, you've now become, I mean, you've been in recently Prize Fight. Was it Prize Fight? It was
Prize Fight to Russell Crowe and Ray Winston. I've been very fortunate, Matt. Cass Pennant gave me a part in his film, and Cass played a landlord at the Britannia pub, and then I met Tama Hassan. the great British actor on the film,
Yeah,
said,
I love
Joe,
Tam,
you've got a
yeah.
great, Tam is great. He said, Joe, you've got a great presence on screen. He said, do you fancy an acting career? I said, well, acting, I'll wait for a boxing career. I'll give it a go. Anyway, Tamar introduced me to his agent. His agent sent me for the audition for Sherlock Holmes, man, to play a character called McMurdo, fight Robert Downey Jr. The casting agent said, look into the camera lens, give an intimidating stare. I did that. They went, Joe, you've got an amazing intimidating stare. I said, I've had to look into the eyes of Mike Tyson and Lennox Lewis to intimidate them. I said, this is no problem intimidating casting agents. Anyway, excuse me. Tissue. They gave me the part to play McMurdo, to fight Robert Downey Jr. So I've gone along to the read-through. Guy Ritchie sitting opposite me, Joe Silver, the CEO of Warner Bros. My nameplate, Joe Egan, next to Jude Law, Robert Downey Jr., Eddie Marson, Rachel McAdams, who got the Academy Award for Southpaw. And Guy said, Joe, I've been trying to get you in one of my films for a long time. I said, you're joking. I'm Robert Downey Jr. leaned in. It's Iron Man. He goes, Joe, you come with a fearsome reputation. I couldn't believe these people even knew me, but they knew me through Mike Tyson. Anyway, I went down to do the practice fight. Guy said, how are things, Joe? I said, things are okay, Guy. I'm making ends meet. He said, is your agent told you how much you get for the fight scene? I said, Guy, I never even asked. I'm just honoured to be in your film. When he told me, Matt, it was more than I got in any of my pro fights. And I was deadly serious. I said, Guy, for that money, I said, Robert Downey Jr. can really hit me. You can kick me as well. You can kick me as well. And he took a fit of laughing. He said, Joe, I don't want you getting beaten up. I said, Guy, I've been beaten up for a lot less. I do a few weeks in hospital for that money. Anyway, I didn't have to get beat up. I got called my own name, Big Joe.
Yeah,
by an
Big Joe.
Academy Award winner. By an Academy Award winner and a Warner Brothers movie directed by Guy Ritchie. And it's made my mum and dad. It made my mum and dad very, very proud.
Yeah.
And then Prize Fighter, Russell Crowe calls me Joe. So I get called my own name by 2 Academy Award winners in big, big, big movies. And it's very surreal, man. It's very surreal. I'm not any great actor, man. I played a tough guy very, very well because I've had to live that life of a tough guy, same as you. You know what I mean? So to portray a tough guy on screen, Matt, is easy. You know, because we can walk that walk because we've walked into the boxing ring, right, to face world champions. So we can walk that walk. And on the screen, on the camera, it's about believability. There's no one going to doubt you're not a tough guy. There's no one going to doubt I'm not a tough guy. We don't have to act that. We've lived that. And the directors that I've worked with, incredible directors, the crews that I've worked with, the director of photographies, the assistant directors have all been very, very wonderful to me. The stars of the movies, the other actors, have all been so polite, helped me, encouraged me. You know, I've been very, very fortunate. But like I said, I pride myself on my manners and it carries me well. So when I'm on the film sets, people have come over to me, they say, you're not what we expected. You've got this hard man reputation. I said, look, I don't want a hard man reputation. I want a nice guy reputation. You know, Mike Tyson gave me that moniker, that title, and it was an incredible compliment. But to get a compliment by people saying, like what you said about earlier on, you're polite, Joe, you're manly, that's the ultimate compliment, you know.
I've seen you walk up to people and you walk up and you'll introduce yourself. How you doing, Big Joe? And you make every single person in that room feel special. I've seen you do it to hundreds of people.
The world is full of tough guys and women now. The world is full of them. Yeah. I think the world should be more full of nice people.
Yeah, I totally agree. I totally agree.
And I just think that if we can lead the way by being a nice person, as well as having the reputation as a tough guy, you know, it makes it a lot easier for other people to be nice people, you know, because if people that are as hard as nails can be nice and polite, why can't normal people be nice and polite?
Yeah.
You know,
I totally agree.
I think the world needs more nice people than it does tough people.
More love, more positive people. Be nice. Treat people how you want to be treated.
Yeah.
All these internet trolls being horrible. Just be nice to people. Where's the satisfaction?
I don't understand. See, when I got bullied, Matt, I got physical bullying. I got beatings with sticks, stones, bats. You name it, I've been hit with it. I've been hit with scaffolding posts. I've been hit with a cricket bat. Right, that was a posh rail, you know. But I've been hit. I've been hit by lead. I got shot, So
Yeah.
I've been hit by a lot of things, and you get a date of recovery. You break an arm, you break a jaw, you break a nose, you break a leg. The doctors can tell you more or less to the week when you would heal, right? Now that's physical bullying, right? See, mental bullying, what the people have to put up with today over the keyboards,
Yeah.
telephones, internet. There's no date time to recover because they don't know. When I got chased home and you'd close your front door, you had a safe haven. Kids getting chased home now, when they close their front door, have no safe haven because
Yeah.
the computers and the telephones and the bullying that they are getting, the mental bullying is a lot more torturous than the physical bullying, because it leaves a mental scar. The physical bullying heals a lot easier than the mental torture.
I
And
can't stand it. People getting picked on online. It's just horrible.
horrible,
I don't
Matt. You see,
understand the mentality of people that want to make people feel horrible about themselves.
I don't understand
Making
why. I
I
don't
don't get it.
understand why. All I want to do is bring a smile to a person's face.
Yeah. Yes,
You
you
know,
do. You do. Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
all I want to do. Because it's a cruel world we live in, Matt. It's a very cruel world.
Better to
And
make it happier. We'll try and
yeah,
make it happy. Yeah.
Muhammad Ali used to say he wished that people loved each other as much as they loved him. And what a way to put it, because
Yeah.
Muhammad Ali was loved. He was
Yeah.
loved world over, But he used to say, I wish people could love each other as much as they love him. And
Yeah.
that's all we want in this world, because if you look at the evolution, in time, if you look at the way we've come on as a human race, now whatever God is looking down on us, whether it be Allah, whether it be Buddha, whether it be God, cannot be proud of what it's created. Because if you look at the evolution of the world race, years ago, we killed each other with spears, sticks, and stones, and hatchets, and knives, and swords. Then it moved on to muskets. Then it moved on to Colt 45s, and then it moved on to machine guns, and it moved on to cannons and tanks, nuclear weapons now. So really, how we've evolved is how we kill.
Yeah.
Really, if you look at the evolution of the human race, people say, "Oh, well,
Yeah.
we've created the aeroplane." Yeah, that's to fly the bombs over. We've
Yeah.
created the telephone. Yeah, that's to give the orders to fly the bombs over.
Mm.
We've created the wheel. Yeah, that's to move the tanks forward so we can send the
Yeah.
bombs. Really, a lot of things that have been invented, the internet, a lot of it is to do with warfare.
Yeah.
And it's sad, really, as a human race, that how we've evolved is how quicker we kill, how many we can kill.
Yeah.
And it's like time just repeats itself. It
Yeah.
just
History repeats itself.
repeats itself, It's just like it just seems to be an ongoing thing,
Yeah.
And
I don't watch the news
have
anymore.
we
I don't watch.
learned? Have
I
we
don't
not
watch.
learned? Have we not learned that the wars, all it does is bring sadness, you
Mm.
know? There's no winners
Yeah.
really in war. There's no winners in war because mother suffers, father suffers, family suffers,
Yeah.
What's happening in the world at the moment, Ukraine and Russia, it's
Yeah.
sad, tragic. This is
Yeah.
this is like a civil war, brother against brother. These
Yeah.
people are all families, Russians, and it's
It's great. A
tragic.
lot of it's greed. It's greed. A lot of it's down to greed and power and
They'll never tell us, Matt, what it's about. Do you
yeah.
understand? They will never tell us what it's about. The media reports what they want us to hear. I'm not being a conspiracy theorist, but we will never get told the full truth.
I don't watch the news anymore because I don't trust it. I haven't trusted the media for 20 odd years. I've stopped watching the news 20 years ago.
Well,
And
I just
I'm
think
happier for it because nothing. I do my own life, get on with my own life, and just
why
get on.
can't they do? Remember, there was a band. I think it might have been the Pet Shop Boys. When two
Yeah.
tribes go to war and the Russian leader against the American leader in the boxing.
Yeah.
When we were
Yeah.
kids in school, the teachers used to say, right, you got a dispute, you got a problem, put the boxing gloves on, we get into the boxing ring, and we'll
Yeah.
sort out the problem, right?
Yeah.
Why can't they do that? I tell you what, if they put, right, I know Biden isn't much of a fighter now, he's an old man, but if they put the presidents and the prime ministers of these countries into the boxing ring
Yeah.
and said, right, we're going to sort your dispute out now with a fight. You can be
Yeah.
sure the dispute to be sorted out before the first punch was thrown. Listen, it's easy to send young men and women out to the front.
Yeah.
You know, when you're sitting back in your political cabinet and comfort of your safe haven, you know, send these soldiers. Soldiers don't make wars. Soldiers fight wars. Politicians make wars. And I just think that they're wrong. I don't care what.
All we can do is just spread a bit of positivity, and if everyone
Muhammad Ali stood up against the Vietnam War, right? And he had his career ruined. They banned him from boxing. Years later, he was proven to be right, you know. And I just think if more high-profile athletes, high-profile stars have the courage to stand up like Muhammad Ali had, you know, Muhammad Ali wasn't just, in my eyes, the greatest boxer to enter a boxing ring. He was also one of the greatest human beings to enter this world. Boxing was privileged to have him. He stood up and he said the Vietnam War is wrong. Now, I believe most wars are wrong. Probably all wars are wrong. And I just think if more high-profile people like Muhammad Ali, athletes or film stars, were to stand up, have the courage that that man had, risk their careers, and say this is wrong.
Yeah.
No public.
He lost the best part of his career, didn't he? 3 years.
Yeah. But you have to admire his courage, man. You have to admire it.
Yeah, of course.
You know,
if you've got a few more minutes left, Joe, if you've got a few more minutes,
of course.
I'll just give you a couple of questions and then I'll let you go, mate, because I know you've been on for an hour. Really appreciate that, Joe.
My pleasure, man. Absolute
Thank
pleasure.
you, mate. It's been lovely to have you on, mate. Katie's oldest, that's my missus. She's put 3 love arts.
Oh, thank you. Hello.
Right up to your Gemma as well, Joe.
Yeah. Thank you.
So, Off-Grid Madman's put, does Joe still live in Brum?
I'm working in Hull at the moment. I'm down in Hull most of the time, but I'm up in Birmingham, a couple of days a week.
Ricky Edwards, evening Matt, evening Joe. How you doing, Ricky?
How are you guys?
Nobby Sensei, thank you. G, respect, top fellas. Kev Whiteford, thank you, mate, as well. Joe's a proper gent. Bang Bang Ray Hill, give Joe my regards.
Hello,
when he had
Ray,
all those fish and chips in his flat in Harrow.
Oh yes.
Do you remember that? Yeah,
I do indeed.
Yeah, Ray, I'm going to catch up with you as well.
Ray, you are some man for one man, pal. Has Ray been on the show?
No, but me and Ray talk quite a lot. We're going to come on each other's shows. Yeah,
Ray, he's got a great story.
He's got so many stories.
What a man! What a man!
Yeah, good fighter. A good fighter was Ray as well.
Great guy.
Just talking about Ray, did you ever come across? You never came across Lenny McLean or Cliff?
Yeah, I met Lenny when I was 16.
You did?
I boxed in the Porter Tun rooms in the Whitbread Brewery. I was on a Dublin team, and I boxed a guy called Tony Pitt. Right now, I was only 16. And I was struggling to grow I still can't grow a moustache now. And Tony Pitt was 17 and he had a hairy chest. And I didn't see him earlier on the way in or anything like that. And I just seen this hairy chest over his vest because we wore the vest in the amateurs. And I was in the corner and I said to my trainer, "Oh, he's a man. He's got a hairy chest." Oh, man. It's funny the things that frighten you, right?
Yeah.
And I was so scared. And I was never a big puncher. But I landed a punch in the first half a minute, and it was out of fear, right?
Yeah.
Terrified. Anyway, I stopped Tony Pitt in the first round, right? And after the fight, it was in the gentleman's dinner in the Porter Tun in the Whipper Brewery. Terry Downs done the compare. There was loads of celebrities in attendance, but Lenny was in attendance. Now I knew who Lenny was through the boxing and through the fighting, and I went over. He was sitting down, and I shook his hand. And great punch, kid, great punch.
Yeah.
And I just remember this big hand. I was shook my hand, and I met Roy. on many occasions.
Yeah, I did as well. I love Roy.
Yeah, and but I only met Lenny the once, but it was great to meet him. And what a great fighter. Tragically, he lost the biggest fight of his life to cancer. Yeah,
very tough on the street.
Yeah, hard man.
Very tough on the street. Yeah, intimidating man.
Yeah, but the thing is, he's not on his own, Matt. There's loads of them out there. Every city, every town has tough guys. Yeah. Every city and every town has tough guys. London being the capital of the UK, probably get more recognition from the capital than they do from other cities around the UK. It's like Repton Boxing Club. Repton Boxing Club in London. Repton Boxing Club, world renowned. but it was from
Yeah.
the capital, London. A lot of world champions out of London, so London got the sort of limelight, So Lenny being from London got the limelight on the doors in London, But there was a friend of ours, Matt, a guy called still alive today, Wild Thing Lou Yates.
Oh, Lou Yates, yeah.
Lou Yates on his day was a capable force for anybody. But Lou had come down from, I think, Blackburn or wherever he'd come down from, didn't get the recognition because he didn't come from London.
Do you know what? I want to do a video on Lou because he sent me a message actually the other week, a couple of months ago. And a lot of people are asking me to do a video. I'll do a video about Lou and I'll get in touch with him. He like you said, he deserves a bit more recognition there.
Listen, let me tell you something now. See that man, right? Carlton Leach, right, said it in his book, Muscle, right? He said one of the toughest men. Now, Carlton would know tough men because he's a tough man himself. So when you get praise from tough guys that you are a tough guy, that's the ultimate praise. And Carlton said about Lou, he said one of the toughest men he said he'd ever worked the doors with, right? And that's great. That's great praise. Now, Lou, Wild Thing Lou Yates is a powerhouse. Now he fought Lenny, he fought Roy, he fought them all, but he didn't get the recognition he deserved because he didn't come from London. He came from a little village somewhere in the UK, and he didn't.
He's a proper handful on the street as well. On the street, he was a proper.
I'll tell you something now. He'd a neck on him. Was it 22-inch neck?
Yeah.
If Lou Yates hit you with a headbutt, 50 and a half.
Yeah.
But
I'll do a couple more, mate. I'm going to do a video on Lou. So Ian Dutson, how you doing, mate? He's put two complete legends. The Maverick McLucky, two absolute gentlemen, Matt and Joe. God bless you guys.
Thank you.
Boxing TV. Oh, Boxing TV. Evening, lads. Give my love to Big Joe. Hope to see him back in Stoke soon. Big love, Dan Hewitt.
Thank you very much, Dan. Thank you.
The Benjamins. I like Mike's podcast, like Boxing. Triple D. Matty, if you mention to Big Joe about me and him in the movie about Cass Pennant, it'll make his day. I'm watching. Oh, Danny Kelly. I was the prison doctor in the film.
Oh, Danny, BBC WM. Danny's a great guy, good friend of mine. He was doing BBC WM now. Danny does a program on television now, but Danny gave great publicity to Cass and everything else. So Cass gave him a part in the film, and Danny done very well. But listen, he's a professional on the radio, professional on the TV. Yeah,
nice one. Thanks for that. Dean F. I want Matt and Joe.
Let me tell you about Danny. I'm going to tell you a story about Danny real quick. Danny done a celebrity boxing match, right? And I give credit to you, Danny. If you're watching, I give credit here, right? Danny's my pal, right? But Danny done the celebrity boxing. And he said to me, would I give him a hand to prepare for the celebrity boxing? So of course I will. So got into the ring to do a bit of sparring. I thought he just wanted to do some pad work, but he insisted on doing the sparring. He's a brave man. We got into the ring. We're going through the motions of the sparring session, throwing punches at each other. And he walked on to, now my good punch, probably my best punch in my career was my left hook. I wasn't a big puncher at world level, but I had a good left hook, right? And I've rolled in and I've caught Danny with a good left hook. And it was a good punch. It was a good punch, Matt, right? Take nothing away from Danny. I caught him right on the button, bang. He fell against the ropes and he was sliding down the ropes, right? I did stun him. He didn't go down. He was sliding down the ropes, stayed on his feet, right? Didn't hit the deck, stayed on his feet. He said the rope saved him, whether the rope saved him or not, right? He took a good left hook off an ex-professional fight. He was a novice white-collar fighter. And straight onto the attack again.
Did he?
Oh, yeah. Straight at me again, right? And after the sparring session, I went, fair play. And I said to Joe, you caught me with that good shot. He said, you did hurt me. The ropes might have saved me. I said, but Danny, whether the rope saved you or not, you came straight onto the attack again. And I take my hat off to Danny Kelly, right? Because
well done, Danny.
Yeah, Danny, you're a man of courage.
Yeah.
You're my pal, and you take a good left hook.
Kev Whiteford, thank you, mate. Big shout out. Couple more, Joe. Really, really good to see you again, mate. Thanks for coming
Thank
on.
you. No, my pleasure, Matt. Thank you very much.
Joe had a good show, Matt. Big Joe is legendary. Thanks for the good crack. Thanks, Joe. I can never get this is from Am I Dead Yet? I can never get the image of Big Joe chasing about a naked woman dressed as a werewolf in that film, Stripper versus Werewolf. You can't get it out of his head.
I tell you that film, the makeup artists on that film, this is fact, I'm not making this up. They worked on that film, then they went over to Malta to work on World War Z. So the actors that we worked
Brad
with,
Pitt.
they worked. Martin Compton, who's a phenomenally talented actor. There's some big stars in that werewolf film, right?
Yeah.
Big stars in the film. Anyway, they did my makeup. I had 4.5 hours getting the prosthetics done to give me. Billy Murray was the leader of the werewolf pack, and they did my makeup, right? 4.5 hours, and it was very, 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 very good the way they did it, right?
I've not seen that one yet.
That's fun, Matt. It's fun.
Yeah.
Right? It's fun. But I was a perverted werewolf. Right? I know. I was a perverted werewolf. I was a womanizing werewolf. But the story goes on the film that one of the Spandau Ballet guys that played the Krays, them brothers, one of them, Kemp brothers, he's in the film, and he's in the lap dancing bar, and the lady that ran the lap dancing bar was in Conan the Barbarian. She was in Superman. She was in Superman. Very talented actress, has worked at the highest level of the film. Some big stars in the film. Anyway, Martin Kemp, full moon, starts to turn into a werewolf in the club. One of the strippers hits him with the heel of her shoe into his eye, and the silver in the heel of her shoe kills him, because the silver kills the werewolf.
Yeah.
And then the story goes then that the club becomes the coven for the werewolves, and it's a fun film. Yeah. But I'm a werewolf surrounded by strippers in a strip club, and it was bizarre. It was bizarre.
I'll tell you what you were in as well that I like. Brassic. Brassic was a really good series.
Yeah, I played the referee in the bare knuckle fights.
Yeah, I think you were in one episode, but a good series.
Yeah, I done with Joe Gilgan, who was one of the Dingers in Emmerdale, Michelle Keegan, very talented actors, and it was a privilege to work with them, and I had a bit of fun. Brassic has done ever so well.
Really good show, that is.
Yeah, there's a lot of films and TV stuff that I've done, Mac, that I've never seen. People say, "Oh, you must watch the stuff that you see."
Yeah.
I don't get to see them all, you know. Sometimes I get invited to the premieres and I watch them at the premieres, but other times I don't. I haven't seen Prize Fighter yet.
Have you not seen Prize Fighter? Really good.
I never saw Sherlock Holmes 2. I never saw Dead Man Running. I've never saw Brassic, you know. So
Prize Fighter is really good. Your scenes were really good when you came on. I've just got to give it Dave Gunn's on. Do you know Dave Gunn, my mate from Nottingham?
Yes.
Dave Gunn, big shout out to us.
Hello, Dave.
A couple more, mate, and then I've just got to ask you as well. Do you get on with Tim Witherspoon now after that disagreement?
What happened with Tim? Right? What happened with Tim? Okay, I'll tell you what happened with Tim. Tim's a very personal friend of mine. He stayed in my home in Birmingham. I've known Tim a long time. Tim was asking me to get work for him, right? And I was trying my best to get him work, but sometimes Tim let himself down with the drink. So a lot of promoters didn't want to work with him. Incredible heavyweight champion of the world. But he asked me for work. Now, Ken Norton was to come over and with George Chiavallo, and Ken couldn't travel because he was very ill at the time. So they sent over Tommy Morrison and they sent over Tony TNT Tucker. So Tim was asking me for work, so I contacted a friend of mine, Scott Murray, Bar Sports in Cannock, and I said, look, can you give Tim work? He said, Joe, the show's sold out. He said, but if Tim wants to come along on the night, I'll give him £1,000 to have his photographs took with people on the night. So I said to Tim, do you want to come along, Tim, have your photographs took? You don't need to do any talking, just have your pictures took with Tommy Morrison, George Chiavallo, and Tony TNT Tucker. He said, yeah, £1,000. Tim came into Birmingham the night before, went out drinking, met a young Asian kid, come to the show on the night, both drunk. Joe, meet my new agent, young Asian kid. And I'm looking and I'm thinking, oh, God, Tim's going to let me down tonight. That's my friend, right? So Tim's having his photographs took. People are paying for the photographs. the young Asian kid went, Tim, they're paying for the photographs. Why aren't you getting your money for the photographs? So Tim stepped away. You can see it on the video. Tommy Morrison, George Cuvallo, Tony TNT Tucker, great champions. I was very privileged to be standing in such illustrious company. When I get to share the top stage with these people, it is such an honour for me, man. I never achieved what they achieved. And to get applauded alongside these greats is incredible. So they're looking. So I'm saying, Tim, get back into the photographs. You've been paid to have your photographs took. Why? What's going on? I want my money. This is going on and that's going on. I said, Tim, I'm trying to talk to this great heavyweight champion of the world, who's my friend, right? One word's borrowed another. Now, I'm thinking to myself, if he connects with one of his right hands, listen, Matt, he could decapitate me with a right hand, okay? He's a heavyweight champion of the world, right? He could seriously hurt me, cave my face in. So I'm thinking to myself, my best chance as a fighting man, if push comes to shove, is to get in close, right? So I've stepped in, not because I'm a thug or not because I'm a bully, right?
No.
I'm giving myself the best fighting chance in close, right?
Yeah.
Push comes to shove, right? I get my thumb into his eye as quick as I possibly can. You know, not you know, trying to be a thug or anything, but to give myself a fighting chance. I can't stand punching it out with him with a spoon. I'm going to come second, right?
Because he's still strong. He's still strong.
The man is an incredible fighter. Whether it's on the street or whether it's in the boxing ring, he hits you with one of them right hands. You're in trouble. You're in trouble, right? Yeah. So I'm stepped in close. I said, Tim, have you got a problem with me? Not because I was trying to be macho, not because I was trying to be brave. I was scared, man, right? I was scared. But I'm giving myself the best fighting chance possible. As I've stepped in, Tim went, no. And I am so glad that he said no. He said, I haven't got a problem with you. I said, well, behave yourself.
Yeah.
Right? And he stepped away. Right. And I was ever so glad that he stepped away.
It's quite a moment to be caught on camera, though. If anyone hasn't seen that, it's on YouTube.
The thing is, right?
It's quite a moment.
I would have come second. I would have been severely hurt. Right. But I would have given a good account of myself.
Yeah.
Because I would have tried my level best. But I'm glad it didn't come to blows because he would have beaten me. Do you understand? Are
you friends now?
Oh, yeah. The next day he apologised. He said, Joe, I'm so sorry. You know, but he embarrassed me because I was the one that got him the job. He let himself down. Scott Murray, the man that put the show on, is my friend as well. And I got Scott to give him a job, you know, and Tim apologised. Like I said, Tim stayed in my home in Birmingham. But I was sad that it came to that.
Yeah.
Really sad that it came to that. But Tim let himself down with alcohol, right? He let himself down. I got him the job. I tried to calm the situation. You know, maybe I might have provoked it. I don't know. I asked him what his problem was. Has he got a problem with me? Right? And I stepped in, like I said, give myself that fighting chance, right? Because I wasn't going to stand back and exchange punches with him because, like I said earlier, man, I'd have come second.
Yeah,
right?
He's got a serious right.
I might have come second, even standing in close.
Yeah.
But I would have had a go. Do you understand?
At least it ended that way, and it's harmony. Well, Joe, it's been really, really great to have you on. Good to see you again. And fantastic interview. There's so many more questions on the thing, but obviously we haven't got time.
We'll have to do round 2, man.
Yeah, we'll do a part 2 for anyone that didn't get their question asked. I apologise for that, but thank you for the comments. And Joe, thank you, mate. And I look forward. I know you've got 8 or 9 films in the pipeline as well.
Yeah,